Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good weekend, and let's go here and share experiences or ask questions pertaining to the weekend class. You're gonna mute yourself or type in, and then after that we'll do a little process.
And then Ebony, then Ralph. I don't know if you meant to have yourself unmuted there, Ebony.
I didn't, my bad. Hi, y'all.
Hey Ebony, how are you?
I'm doing well.
And then go ahead, Ralph, then Robert.
Hey Mr. Alf.
Hey, Greg. On section F, the ORAC programming,
Sure.
pumping the aura, you call it. Are there section H, are there B choices for those
No.
oils that you list?
Honestly, there's not. Because you're setting a program,
Mhm.
it's hard to do it with like a single oil or a substitute. There might be like one, like the mental processing, the other one, but again, unless you had it in a kit, is Buddha mind.
Mhm.
And the emotional responses, emotional elevation. I went back and looked at my notes. Astral projection would work there.
Mhm.
But other than that, there's not a lot of second choices.
Okay.
Um, like prosperity, you could probably do like the materialization blend,
Mhm.
but it's like they're not the same. Like it's not like it's like even a B choice. They're doing something somewhat different there.
Yeah.
And so you could use it interchangeably, but they're not really addressing the same issue. Like,
Okay.
so it's almost like they're two separate issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's the project of putting together a ORAC programming kit on the
Yeah.
website?
Like I'm gonna actually drop a little bit more on you guys. And then I think what we'll do is kind of like how we do for a class where it's those little tiny bottles where we could go through and
Yeah,
do like a whole thing
that
and
would be
maybe do
great.
like 25 of them or something like that. And I think we'll probably be able to roll that out to you. I just want to go through the information a little bit more and not just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. And so I want to establish that 25 or 30, and then um, yeah, we'll put that out to you guys. So
Okay.
we'll if we do those little tiny bottles like that, we'll be able to keep the price way down and make it so that you could pull it out for anything rather than having to mix and match the things that you're getting there.
Okay, great, great. So
So
you're going for a personal best as far as how many oils you put into a kit nowadays. Okay.
well, my personal best is 29, so I'm shooting for 30.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And
Thanks.
then if I want that best to last, I should probably shoot for like 32 or 33, or give myself a little wiggle room. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
And go ahead, Robert, then Lolly.
Hey,
Hey,
Robert.
hey, Greg. I love those kits with 29 oils.
Yeah, they are nice.
They are very nice. So, ORAC programming,
Mhm.
is there an oil to use for anxiety?
I have a bunch of different notes on that, and the issue with anxiety is it can be a couple of different things. What I did is in the ORAC programming, anxiety is a little bit more complicated. I can give you. I'm trying to think of where I have it. I can give you what I use, but it's much more than just the ORAC programming. Um,
Okay. So it's a bit more advanced.
Well, it's going to be like how we talk about how we're calling it plant prana techniques, where we pull things from like the auric programming and the aura and even like the generational healing. I mean, a lot of that information wasn't new. It was just presented in a new way. And then like the tail end of that class was new and kind of stepped up the game, but we went a little bit deeper on the aura in that particular class, and even as time goes by we're going to go even deeper on the aura. But the thing with anxiety is here, let me pull it up and I'll just this is like a rough draft, so it might be kind of sloppy, but you know, I'm gonna have to go to my iPad. You want to? My two iPads don't talk to each other for some weird reason.
You have to get a new tech guy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't bother my tech guy with silly things like my iPad's not communicating. You know, he's got other things, he's got other fish he's got to fry. Um, I'm just making sure here for a second. Okay. So anxiety can be a couple of different things, but I find that this is incredibly helpful. Sometimes we have to mix in doing some stuff with respiratory tract, but I would say even the respiratory tract is a byproduct of dealing with a hypervigilant immune system. And so that could be autoimmune, that could be anxiety, that could be all kinds of things. And so what's that?
Go ahead, just let me know when that.
Yeah, I
you
sent
did
it.
Okay.
Yeah. So here is like kind of a taste of what all these different pieces are coming down to. Is it's going to be, I'm going to lay it out where each piece is laid out kind of like what we've been doing over the last few years, where, you know, we'll have the section on the aura, and then, you know, the chords and health rays, and then we'll start doing a little bit more complicated things and like the next wave. And then the deeper part of the manual will be this kind of like integrated approach. And so for anxiety, it's this particular integrated approach where instead of doing the whole, like all 7 layers of the aura, there's one layer that you target. And instead of hitting the 4 functions of the aura, there's one function that you target. And then the dynamic activity of the aura, you know, where it's the directions and things of that nature. So this isn't completely done, but it's getting there. Like I still need to weave in the elements a little bit, but instead of just doing a blanket like, oh, I work all the elements or I work all of this, it's the ones that specifically address that particular issue. And so this is a working rough draft of what is coming down the.
And just so you know, Greg, I had to put it into like a PDF because I can't do a copy paste in the chat because it's too big.
Right.
So
Okay.
I just put in the chat like a quick PDF little. thing I
Okay.
made up.
So Robert, can you open up that PDF and just take a little browse?
I am looking at it right now. Or a structure layer 4, or a function state. Or a dynamics. Or program emotional with emotional elevation. Planetary. I don't remember the void.
I don't think you guys got it in a class, but
Okay. And then etheric. And I'm trying to figure out where the next break is.
Oh,
Reactivity to people in active situations.
yeah, I didn't divide it well. I'll try
No,
to-
that's all right. This is great. I'm happy to divide it myself. On the fly is hard. Homeostasis and allostasis. Multiple oils for that. And then thymus regulation, transmutation grieving process. That's interesting. Homeostatic emotions, lower emotions. There's a lot here.
Yeah. So it's
Wow.
not something that you have to do all in one session.
Okay.
Like I'd say over a few sessions, like all of that you would want to address for somebody with anxiety. And
Okay.
the anxiety, usually with anxiety, the immune system's usually hypervigilant. The breath is shallow, but it's usually more because of immune function than it is of just plain old respiratory function. But there's also a disconnect with the environment, like with people, active situations, and past events. And so this process that I just gave you guys, like it will be refined a little bit more. It will have some elements and things like that, but part of, I don't think I even did it in this, but part of what you would do as well is with the planetary influence, part of a deeper level of connection to the things in the environment, people, active situations, or past events, is tied to the planetary aspect, but it's like using the planetary aspect to do that, like see a person and then breathe in the essence and breathe through it. And then same with the active situation and same with the past event. And I don't think that's in the notes quite yet. It's in like the earlier version of the rough draft. And I'm trying to refine it, trying to make everything kind of uniform, even though we're doing things with uh, intuition. Still, there's a way to kind of go through and just standardize these things where you start just taking like building blocks and then creating like a protocol. So what I'm doing is I'm laying out like the very basics, like clinical symptom oriented, then a little bit more advanced with treating a system, then looking at the energetics, and then just keep going up the pole, so to speak. And then once everything's kind of laid out, then you pull different pieces then to treat something like in a esoteric or mystical way. And this is what I've done through years, but I just have never really explained it to people in the way that I'm explaining it now. Like I would just get really vague and go, well, I'm doing a little this, a little that. And now I'm giving you all the secrets.
Yes. Okay, I like that. I will figure out how to make this happen for the client I'm thinking of.
So
And
here's the thing for somebody like you. You can do it with all the oils. You could also do it with your healing. Like it's just a different way of doing like a protocol in a way where with healing, you could probably cover this in a single session.
would it be as effective?
I would say the oils I find are a little bit more potent, but the doing it with energy, it works pretty darn good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to sit with that and
I can guide you through it a little bit on the side of like the colors to use and stuff. I mean, some of it's straightforward, like violet healer, you would use violet and stuff like that. But I don't
Yeah.
want to put the colors to do the healing with just because I get watched a lot. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I'm fine with that. I can always reach out if I choose to go
Yeah.
that route.
Yeah, yeah.
And I may,
I prefer to do it in private. Like
yeah,
if
I may need to get that info. I'll see what I can do with this. And I like the oils part because I can walk the person through it multiple times.
and you can send them home with just doing one. Like, you know, you can just go, hey, let's just focus on this first little piece. This is what I want you to do. And then the next time you have them work the next piece and then the next piece. And if you feel they can do a little bit more, then you send them home with 3 or 4 little pieces. But
Yeah,
you know, the idea would be for us to like be able to provide, like when we have the booklet all made for you guys, is that you could download a page out of that and not even have to write it up. Just hand them the page and go, take this and start working this.
okay. I like that a lot. I'm all in for that. This situation, the client is at a distance.
Mhm.
So that adds a little to the complexity, but nothing that can't be overcome.
So going back to what Ralph was asking about with the org programming, like to have a little kit like that. What we were kicking around doing for you guys, for the practitioners, the one that are working with other people, is almost like make a potential like kit that you can either, like, say you're working this hyper vigilant, like you can order a hyper vigilant kit that's just, you know, like the kinds of oils you would get, the size and the classes.
Mhm.
Or you can do a thing where you build your own little kit, like you say you just want them to work the first 4 pieces, then we can do that, and then we can ship it off to them just like you would stuff for a class, you know.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
could either do it, we could have them prefabbed and made for you so that you can do that, but we're basically trying to gear it up so that you could utilize these different treatment protocols, and you either make them yourselves or we can make it available with just like a very minimal thing. So if they're using it, they don't have to buy a whole big, you know, 5 ml
Right.
bottle or something like that. We just make it like turnkey for what you're doing. But at first I'm worried about, not worried, but like working on trying to get it really integrated for you guys. And then the ones that are practitioners, we're going to have a whole wave. I mean, I've been kind of setting this like wave up for probably a good year on the backside. And so, you know, when we lay it out, it should be relatively turnkey. I mean, there's going to be hiccups, but we should be able to resolve them very quickly.
Okay. There's times I repackage oils for clients and I
Oh,
put
sure.
3 or 4 drops in the bottle because they're just smelling it. They're not applying it or
Right, exactly.
internal.
And so the other thing is, you know, that's why we started kind of dabbling with those that I can't remember what class it was, but we gave you guys like a pack of like empty bottles. And we're
Uh-huh.
also going to have that stuff available to you so that you can also make your own thing and send it off to your people.
Right. And
Like, so we're going to try to make it so however you want to do it, we want to make it as easy for you to do it as possible.
I gave a silly name to the bottles with only a few drops. I call them smellers.
Yeah.
That's
We have a whole wall of different names that like that up on the where we store the incense, and Samantha and the other employee, Catherine, make up all kinds of funny names like smellers or
okay. Well, great. This will help a lot. Thank you,
Yeah.
Greg.
Should be an interesting next couple months.
And I'm looking forward to it.
And then go ahead, Lolly.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey, so yeah, I'm super excited about everything, so thank you. And these are great questions because I was actually wondering, one of the things I'm wondering about was really how to work with that with clients.
Yes.
Because Yeah, because I'm doing healing. So then if I want to incorporate it together and actually do a lot of distant healing as well. So
But like even if you wanted to start simple, like when you say healing, I assume you're talking pH.
yeah.
So even if you're starting with that, what you could do is work with like the different colored healer oils, like the green healer and the blue healer and the orange healer. And as you're working on the subject, your patient, you could have
Mhm.
them inhaling something as you're working on them. Like,
Right.
green, for example. Man, green just
Yeah.
makes things so much easier to do. So you have them use
Mhm.
green, and you could be using a whole range of colors, but when you're working on them, it just helps them to let go and do all of that. And so, you know, I think the thing that I kind of wanted to emphasize as we were rolling these things out is people have different abilities and have different things that they're trying to do as far as practitioners. And there's kind of like a template that we're laying out, but it's not like a rigid template. And in a way, you can look at these different things and kind of do your own version of it. Like you have a skill set or an area that you really want to focus on. It doesn't mean you have to follow the things exactly the way that I've laid them out, but it gives you enough of a template where you could create your own little process that you want to engage. And,
Mhm.
we're going to try to keep giving enough support to where you guys can ask questions and have interactions. And we're even going to have little side support groups and everything for this, and run things through for practitioners to go through and practice with. And so all the different components kind of coming together, even using sound and all kinds of things, and integrated into a way that you feel that you're developing as a practitioner, but you're also, when you're doing service and healing, granted, I know you got to do it a particular way in a clinic, but when
Yeah.
you're working with your own, when you're doing
Yes.
it, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But when you're working with your own clients,
Exactly.
you get to do it your way. And
Exactly.
when I was an instructor for PH, like I always kind of stuck to the parameters of what I was contracted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
but stepping away, there's so many other things that I can pull in with that. And even like the Buddhist tools, like we've been talking about dorjes and purbas
Mm-hmm.
and the little kartikas and things like that. And we're about to introduce the use of the little Manjushri sword and all that. And so each one of those has a thing that you do that's very different than um, doing energy healing or even working with oils. And they all can interact and overlap, but it's good to have experiences with them, but they're also doing some different things.
Yeah.
And so to do it in a way to where we lay it out, but then we practice and interact with them, and we get direct experience of like, these are how these things interact. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, over the next few months, I'm doing my best to try to get this out over the next, like, say, 6 weeks or so. But
Okay, that's amazing.
yeah.
And then, but really, when I do distant healing,
Mhm.
um, then let's say the person doesn't use oils and doesn't have like, international client and they don't have the
Sure.
access to like, so then how would you like, do I still, I mean, obviously the oils work because of all the other senses that are involved, but can I just use that for the energy aspect of it?
Yeah. So like even going back, so even going back to, like, say we're just talking about the colored healers, for example, or
Right.
they have a lot of emotion that you're like, you're trying to help them work through, because
Mm-hmm.
this is the thing, like with the astral projection, for example. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so yes, it's good for healing emotion and helping to purify the emotional body, and even if it's emotion from other people. But one of the things that I use, like we just did it today with somebody, where they were in a situation where they were trying to figure out, something in a relationship. And, they were kind of processing it and a little bit sad and a little bit not sure and everything. So we had them start using the astral projection.
Mhm.
And, at first she goes, it got a little bit more intense. And then I just said, well, maybe you're like actually like processing and working through it at a faster rate. And she, in the moment she was like, well, yeah, maybe. And then like within about 45 minutes, she goes, you're right. I totally have worked through something that has been going on for a couple of days. And because of that breakup of the emotion, she kind of processed and worked through it and like is in a much better place about what is going on in that particular relationship. So then
Mhm.
now you come to like you're working with a client and say they're in Australia or something or Italy. And so you have a time difference, you have a distance, you're not going to be able to ship them an oil real super quick or something.
Mhm.
So what you would do is you would still take that same oil. So you would use the astral projection because you're wanting them to process through something very quickly.
Yeah.
Then you would sit and hold them in your mind for a little bit with your awareness on your heart, and then do the materialization breath, like maybe, 2 or 3 cycles of it. And that would be doing like a version of the process, like for them. You don't need to
Oh,
go through
okay.
and follow the pattern, but
Mhm.
basically you're materializing the energy of that plant into that person so that then it produces the result, and then you go through and you do your healing.
So, oh my God, okay, I love that because that was one of the main things. Like, I can see how beneficial it is, but I'm like, okay, how do I? Okay. So then basically, I do that at the beginning of the session
Right.
when the client is there. So I do the materialization breath, focusing on the client. So I'm doing that for them.
Right.
And then, so do I do it what, a few times?
I would do it
And
a
then
few
I do it.
times because really, like if you think about what's happening, you're materializing light, which really is you're materializing movement for that person.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
like there's been times when I used to do distance sessions all the time, I didn't even always use oils. I would sit and I would do that same process. I'd hold them in my heart, do the materialization breath for a while, and then I'd do the healing. But sometimes, like I wasn't happy with the level or degree of movement that was happening. So say I was 20 minutes into a healing, I would stop and I would do the materialization breath again.
Oh,
And
wow.
then so like you can start off with it and you can continue with it. And that's something that you could also even teach the person even without oils. Like they,
Right.
it's stronger with the oil, but even if they
Mhm.
don't have an oil, you go, okay, think about your shoulder or whatever it is you're addressing.
Mhm.
And then awareness on the heart, teach them how to do the materialization breath. And you say, okay, now in between this session and the next session that we work together, maybe every day, let's have you
Yeah.
do the materialization breath on the shoulder so that it keeps the healing moving. And then next time we can hit the ground running.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's okay. I didn't even, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, and I was thinking even like something like Rue, that's good for cord cutting using that.
Yeah, like
Would you?
the
Yeah.
materialization breath is really good for displacing the lower vibrational like elements, like the elementals. And
Mm-hmm.
and so it does help somebody break out of a pattern and get things moving. It might not do the cord cutting, but it probably would address the Velcro that tracks the cords. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you
And then
cut a
just,
cord
yeah.
and you go through and you clean up, you go, oh, I feel so much better. But then you go outside and you just attract them back again.
Yeah.
Like there's the cutting, but then there's the cleaning so that you stop
Mhm.
attracting that connection with that kind of energy or with that person or whatever that is. The materialization breath would probably help that more than it would be the cutting part.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then really the cord, and I've used the Rue spray when I did
Uh-huh.
healing in person, and that was, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and I'm using it on myself, and yeah. And then really we talked about doing like a deeper cord cutting that's like more from the inside out as opposed to like a different way. So basically there's no way to do that with pranic healing though, right? With the energy.
It's pretty hard. Like, I mean, if you really worked at it, you know, there's a lot of having to clean the cords, but a lot of times what you have to do is you have to do healing on, like, if you look at why does Rue work so well for cutting cords, part of it is it's stimulating your nervous system to go into rest and repair. Like the
Mhm.
thing that makes the cord hard to cut is fight flight. The thing that makes it really easy to disconnect is parasympathetic or rest and repair. And so part of why Rue works so good for that is it doesn't necessarily tone the parasympathetic activity like how Tarragon or Marjoram does, but it does like kind of manually shift the body over to that state so that that's what disconnects the cord. And
Mhm.
so that's why even like in the sleep support, you know, the blend that's for sleep, you know, it's got
Mhm.
spikenard and valerian and I think some lavender, but it's got a decent amount of rue in it. And part of it is the rue kind of manually pushes you into that rest and repair mode. And if there is any sort of weird connections from the day that are going to keep the body agitated, you're helping to cut and release those at the time. And so it could be used in ways to where maybe you did some cord cutting, but then you did a deeper like cleansing part. You know that advanced Moses technique where we do
Yeah.
front hard, back hard, down the
Mhm.
navel.
Yeah.
Like after you cut cords, actually doing that will flush a lot of what attracts the cords to the person. You know, like if somebody is constantly, like say in a job where they have a lot of conflict, and then that whole situation is resolved, and then they go to this new situation, there's not conflict there yet, right? But
Mhm.
maybe there's potential. Well, they have the Velcro like that has
Yeah.
like little, it's like smart Velcro. It's not just Velcro, but it's also got like, let's attract another conflict. You know, it's
Yeah.
got this like it's almost seeks it out and then starts drawing the connections to where it starts to reproduce that kind of conflict oriented behavior or energy or whatever you want to call it. And so going through and doing the materialization breath will diminish that. And then that advanced Moses technique will flush it out as well. The advanced Moses technique will flush things out of the chakras, which is also kind of hitting the glands, where the materialization breath is really more about flushing elementals out of the system. And so I know I'm splitting hairs there, but they are doing kind of two similar but different things. And so sometimes if one doesn't work, you just do the other one.
Yeah. And then would you do that? Like, would you can have the person do that
You can have the
on their
person do
own?
it and
Oh,
and
can
you
you do
can
it for
lead.
the?
Yeah, the
Mm,
materialization breath, yes. The advanced
yes.
Moses technique,
No, it's kind of weird. Okay.
I've
Yeah.
tried. It doesn't really work that great.
But
But
then I
you
can lead
could,
the person.
yes, and you can do it without oils. Like
Right.
I lead it as a meditation without oils
Yeah.
on a regular basis. And so I think the oils make it stronger, but when you're
Right.
dealing with the general public, they don't have a reference for either one. So
Yeah.
even them doing that is still very, very powerful. In fact, usually for the general public, I don't even do a very advanced version. I just do heart, navel, crown, and I call it
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm. And then if I were to do it in a session, then you would do it at the end or
You
somewhere
could do
like.
it all through the session. Like you could start it off and do a little bit of work and then go, okay, do that thing again and guide them through it. And even
Okay.
as you're guiding them through it, you could be doing general sweeping or health rays or something to just deepen that
Oh,
process.
to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And
We're going to be doing
then,
some study groups where I run you guys through some of these things.
yeah.
That's not necessarily just an oil study group. We're going to do like the practitioner study group.
Mhm.
And we're going to start doing stuff like this here very shortly. I was hoping to actually be able to start in February, but my schedule just got too demanding.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely going to be amazing because it's nice to have the idea of how to really combine things together. Yes. And then just a couple more things. So if we're on
Sure.
the mosaic technique, when we did that in the class, we did it with the astral projection, and somebody asked about that, and you said that yes, it's going to be deeper to do it with the astral projection as opposed to doing it with hyssop or with sage.
Yeah, the hyssop and sage does like a lot of like general cleaning and general like detaching. You know, the thing with the hyssop is hyssop just by its nature will reduce the potential to absorb negativity from the environment into the energy body. Right? Sage is a little bit more about like detaching. So even if you've been connected to some things that are kind of negative, you know, because we're taking into account that we're not just treating the aura and the energy body, but we're also treating the influences of the environment, be it
Yeah.
people, active situations, past events, because a lot of times in healing, we don't factor that component in. So we clean something up and then it gets, you know, crapped up again in a little while
Yeah.
because of those connections. So the hyssop and the sage really addresses the person and then the environment or, you know, whatever's in the surroundings. The thing with the astral projection, it's deeper because it generates more movement. Like it releases more emotion and it makes things move at a faster rate. And so different than the hyssop and the sage. And so it's like for me, it doesn't really kind of replace them. It's like something a little bit separate or a little bit different. But any version of that, especially with people that you're just doing healings on, I think could be good. In fact, I'd say the astral projection might even be a little too intense for newer people. But for practitioners and
Yeah.
like healers and people who have a deep spiritual practice, you know, after a while, the sage and the hyssop is still doing good, but the natural progression would be the astral projection because of how much movement it can generate and accelerate. And so at some point the practitioner will switch over to that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it did feel more powerful, and I was
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Okay. And then okay, so then when we're cleaning, two more things. Okay, so when we're cleaning the aura with the 4 different parts, if I were to, again, I'm kind of going back with the references with the pranic healing just to have an idea in my mind of, so if I'm looking at general sweeping, cleaning it with the oils when I'm going through the 4 quadrants is a deeper.
Yes, it would be deeper. And so this is what I would say is like, you know, you could just do it on the aura itself, right? But I would say start to target like layers. Like I'd still do your general sweeping, but then you go, okay, like you know, I gave you guys that hypervigilant protocol. You could go, okay, I'm going to focus on the 4th layer, and you don't have to see it or anything. You just go, okay, 4th layer, and then you start doing healing on that. So the 4 quadrants, you would still do the lines down the front, the lines in the back, but on each side of the person, you would do 5 lines, like facing their left side and then facing their right side. And so you could do front and back and then left and right, or you can go left, front, right, back, however you want to do it, but you could do it with your hands or with your crystal as well. I mean, I do that all the time. Like I've done that for probably 20 years.
So wait, okay, so let's go back for a second. So you're doing the quadrants in your, basically when you're doing it to another person, you're doing it what in your, like you in your mind, you're basically doing that. You're kind of cleaning.
You're still going through and
intention.
you're sweeping, but you're like, you know, because whatever you're tapping into is where the energy is being directed. So you would go,
Right.
okay, awareness is on the 4th layer of the aura, and then you would just start doing the same motions, but you're focused more on the 4th layer.
Okay, so then you're doing but you're doing the 4 quadrants of the aura, and then on each one of these, you're doing general cleansing? Like 5 lines on each one of these?
When you're
No.
saying these, what are you, which
Okay,
one?
so when I'm talking about when we're doing the left side of the aura, middle, left, front, right, and back. When we're doing the 4 parts of the aura and we're
Right.
cleaning that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so then that's going to be deeper than general cleansing with pranic healing.
It's going to be more specific.
Right.
Like,
So
and
then,
the specific makes it deeper, but like, yeah, I
right. So then let's say I did those 4 and I can clean that. So I'm cleaning that with energy basically. And then you would still go with the 5 lines.
5 lines front, 5 lines back, 5 lines on
Right.
the right side, 5 lines on the left side. Yes.
So that's what I'm, okay. So you're doing
Yes,
5
yes.
lines on the side.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
actually a new thing for me. Okay, I
Yeah.
love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then doing that. Now what I wanted to, so
Because
okay,
you know how like when you're doing the energy healing and you get to that, like I don't know if they still teach it this way, but like where you get to the outer part and then you go, okay, hands up, and then
yes,
you follow the outside of the line.
right.
What
Yeah.
you're doing there is a very small version of when you do the 5 lines from the right and the 5 lines to the left. You're just being
Okay.
way more thorough than just
Mhm.
following the outline of the body.
Okay, now I got it. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. And then I saw in the document that you just sent that it said something about, yeah, the 4th layer of the aura. And I was actually wondering if there's anywhere that, because I don't know, I might have missed that when I looked up some stuff, but is there a class or a document or something about the different layers within the aura? Like, is there something that,
It was in generational healing, but over the next few weeks, I'm going to be
okay.
giving you information like what each of those layers addresses.
Oh,
That I have not
okay.
put out yet. Like, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
the generational healing is on the list to take. I emailed you
Yeah.
guys earlier with some questions, so it's gonna be, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, okay, so that's about that. Now,
Mhm.
I think that will mean the last question. When we talk about the auric programming,
Mhm.
so we do that with a different, that part I get, each one with the different oil. What I'm wondering about is,
Okay, so if let's put a pin in that for a second. Like, so again, with your healing, like here you can instantly validate this. Like, so say you're treating something with the respiratory tract, the respiratory
Right.
system. So you would scan the lungs, you'd scan the sinuses, the bronchioles, the diaphragm, whatever you're looking at. Then you step back and you're just doing the general sweeping of the aura like you would, right? But here you would say, okay, general sweeping in the aura, but specific to the respiratory system. And so you'll be sweeping the aura because remember, it's the mold or the blueprint that the physical body
right.
follows. So it's better to substantially treat the aura for the body system that you're going to target. Because if you just go and clean up the aura and then go to that system, you'll clean it up, but the gunk is still in the aura. So you do the manual healing of the aura, following the 4 quadrants and everything, and you're just focused on the respiratory system, and you really thoroughly treat that. If you go back to the respiratory system and you go, okay, I'm going to check the lungs, the sinuses, the bronchioles, all of that will substantially start expelling. Like it just starts kicking off the dirty, diseased energy almost
Yeah.
immediately before you've even cleaned it. Because when you're cleaning something, you'll clean and you go, okay, well, it's really slowed down. It's not coming out. I think I got it, or I need to poke to get more out, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. What you're fighting is the dirtiness of the aura, like the programming in the aura.
Oh,
And so
okay.
you're
Yeah.
manually trying to fight it at the site of the chakra when really the fight is in the aura. And so if you spend time really setting it up with the aura, when you go to the chakra, it's like a stick of butter. You just start like hacking it off and it just comes off.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it's all these like small nuances and it makes a huge difference. Okay.
Yeah.
So spending time on that. Okay.
Like
And
if
then,
you
yeah.
really get the aura down, the
Yeah.
rest of the healing becomes quicker, easier, more efficient, lasts longer, more likely to be successful, whatever version of that. And, think about how many times you've worked on somebody and you go, are you feeling any better? And they go, eh. And then they
Yeah.
go home and they come back, you feel any better? And they go, eh.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much what you did on the body, it's what was still in the aura. That's almost
Yeah.
every time it's what's still left in the aura.
Huh. Okay.
And
Yeah.
even general sweeping a lot of times doesn't get it all. Like you really
Yeah.
have to, the aura is a lot more dynamic than we give it credit for. You really have to go through and because you have structure, you have function, you have the quality, you have it's got programs in it, it's got all kinds of things. And you really have to almost start breaking down the pieces and going, I'm going to clean this off, I'm going to clean this off, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And so
Mhm.
even that idea of in ceremonies, when they call in the 4 directions, what they're trying to do is shift the aura. Like they're trying to shift the mold or the blueprint so that when they do ceremony, they're physicalizing something from the ceremony. So if we know that that's what they're doing, why not use that for all the things that we do? We don't have to wait
Yeah.
till ceremony. Let's just do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'll try that and I'll see how that works. That's a totally yeah, it's a mind shift of something. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're so
So,
welcome.
and really when I do programming for the aura, I can do it for somebody else
Yeah. Yeah, you're totally going to be doing it for other people, even with the oils. Yeah.
So, okay, so if I'm doing that for the other person, again, working,
You would use the materialization breath.
so
Yeah.
same idea.
Mhm.
And then when I'm doing programming on the aura, then I'm thinking in my mind, when I'm creating a shield, which is for a certain time period.
Yeah,
Does it even?
this is a little bit different than that. Like you're
Right.
putting in information in the
Yeah.
aura, and at some point it changes, and it's just you can always improve on it, but you're really saying okay, Aura, don't stick dirt in your mouth. Don't stick dirt in your mouth. If you swallow it, don't swallow it. It's going to make you feel bad. You're going, Aura, stop it. Knock that off.
Right.
Stop eating dirt. Stop doing all these things. And then you
So
clean it off. All of a sudden the aura goes, I don't want to eat dirt anymore. And it changes the dynamic of how, because the aura is always materializing something, be it inward and outward. And you're not going to stop that, but what you can do is you can go manifest or materialize a healthy respiratory system. And once it starts doing with it, it just takes the program and runs with it. A lot of times the programs are because of injuries, conditioning, self-dialogue and projections from other people. And so you're unwinding all that conditioning so that it's more about being rebooted in the present rather than living in the past or living, based on other people's projections and things like that.
Right. And is that something you would do before a healing or after?
That would be the healing.
That would be just working.
You could do it
Okay.
before, you could do it during, you could have them practice afterwards. Sometimes when somebody has a health issue, I'll do the healing and then I'll say, take this oil and then just keep doing the auric program until I see you again. And then when I pick up, I clean that off and then look at what is changed in the body. I treat that and then we make whatever adjustment. But usually for a while, they keep doing that same one over and over again.
So that was actually the question, which is why I came back to the shield, because the shield you would do for a certain amount of time. It's a different thing, but in my mind, I was like, do I need to program?
No, the program is either just, if you're using the oils do the programming. If you're using energy, you're going to use electric violet because it's energy with consciousness, and you're just going to clean things up, and that will, because of what you're targeting and the energy of consciousness, it will happen. It's just a bit slower. It will happen though.
So it's not something that I need to is there a time limit? Do I need to keep reviewing that or?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, how going back to the shields, when you manually build shields, it's a lot like a cell phone. Like you plug it in, you charge it up, you use it for a while, and then it's
Okay,
like it's
that's yeah.
depleted, right?
Mm-hmm.
This would be like a cell phone that has solar on it. So as long
Yes,
as it
yeah,
gets light, it's going to stay
yeah.
charged unless you stuck it in a drawer and didn't use it, but it's going to
Yeah,
constantly be running. So
right.
it's more like that.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, thank you
You're
so
so
much.
welcome. You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Judy, and then we have a couple questions.
Hey, Miss Judy.
And let me.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited. I feel like I've expanded so much since the weekend. I have been
Oh,
an
good.
an energy worker now for 20 some years,
Wow, check you out.
but I've never been using the oils, and learning this whole process with you this past weekend has just been mind expanding.
Oh, good.
I was with some of my energy friends today, and we were doing some Reiki and some other things. And the one woman was working on my head, and she said, "Oh my goodness," she said, "there is something that just keeps bouncing in your head back and forth and back and forth." She says, "I've never felt your head like this before." And I said, "I think I'm being expanded." I think that,
Yeah, yeah.
and that
Good for
is
you.
and that is my question too. On the weekend, I was doing fine on Saturday with the process, and
Mhm.
then we got into Sunday, and partway through, when we were working with the water elementals in the galbanum, I guess is what was being used, I just got very, very nauseous and very physically not feeling well. So I had to stop. So I've been thinking about that since then in terms of, was it just in general too much for me at that
It
point?
was probably a lot of times what can happen is like you'll hit something and you'll start expelling, excuse me, you'll start expelling so fast that it actually can cause some discomfort or a little bit of nausea.
Uh,
And so a couple of times, not with oils, but with stones, I even, like laying stones. I had energy moving so fast that I actually made a couple people throw up.
oh,
And it was a long time ago. I'm a little bit more patient these days when it comes to stuff like that. But it's, if you kind of know the mechanics and you can get the energy moving, sometimes you can get it moving so fast that even the body has a hard time to like acclimate to it, and it will start to produce some nausea. And especially like, a lot of times we're having to bust things loose for somebody to expel. But like when the person, like you've been doing this work for so long that you're ready for stuff to happen, and it's just kind of like stuck in the body, really. And so
yes.
when you start flushing it out, like you're just like, wee, like, it's coming out.
Yes.
And and you're ready, and so your body starts letting go of it, and sometimes it just starts to go at too fast of a pace. So
Okay.
usually with that, you just pump the brakes, you step away for a little bit, you take a little break. The one thing that sometimes, especially with the kind of work we were doing that day, is you look for it maybe potentially getting stuck in the spine as well. Because like when you have a really deep release with this kind of work, energy work with, especially emotions, mental things, or like deep blockages in the body, the deepest place it will release is the spine.
Oh,
And so with that, either clean the spine or use an oil that is very cleansing to the spine, like, frankincense, stagnation, palo santo, even like hyssop or basil, just something to keep things moving, but put your awareness on the spine as you inhale it so that the spine opens up and releases it, and then it will regulate the chakras. Because a lot of times when the spine's impacted, you'll feel almost like impacted in your solar plexus. And as much as you work the solar plexus, it doesn't resolve it. So whenever that happens, it's usually spine, liver, or the floor of the pelvis.
okay. Great. That gives me something to work on there for sure.
And that was, that was the most intense part of that part, the
Oh,
5 elements. And normally, because we have 5-element blends and things like that, but I didn't even put them on the list because I was like, just to sit and fire through all of that the way that we were doing it, it was going to be too intense for just about everybody. So I didn't even put that stuff on the list. Like, I kept it where it was at because it's moving so much energy so quickly that you have to let the energy body get used to it, because I go back to, it's usually the physical body. The emotional body and the mental body of the people participating, they're usually very ready for it. But sometimes, it's energy from other people, it's past conditioning, it's blockages, could be some energy, injury or something. Who knows what it is? But there's been times where, not even in healing, but like say I'll go and do a consultation somewhere, and it's a very, like, they're a business that I'll go to, like they're having a very difficult time, they're very stressed out. I go in emotionally, mentally, I feel fine. My body is just exhausted, like it feels the chaos of the situation. And so we don't know, a lot of times the emotions and the mind don't know what kind of chaos the body has been exposed to in the environment. It could have been at a store, it could be in traffic, it could be
Yes.
people grinding on you that you don't even know. Like
Right.
you're not aware that they're grinding on you. They're not doing it to your face, but
Yes.
your body will feel it. And so
Mhm.
a lot of times we don't know why the body does that. And if we had all that information, we could go like, oh yeah, that group has been grinding on me for the last 2 weeks. Of course my body doesn't feel good. But we don't usually have that correlation. So, we cleaned it up, but we were like, I wonder what that's about. And and you clean it up, and if it keeps coming back, you usually get a little bit more of an idea, but a lot of times you don't know why.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And
I've
if you're
been
doing
feeling
healings, you might be fleshing out some things from your
clients too.
clients. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that's uh I remember when I first came in and started doing energy work back in late 90s. My first couple years were just flushing all of that out. It was pretty rough for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish I would have known these process at the time I
Yeah.
worked in the hospital. Whenever I
Yeah.
worked in the hospital, I used to come
Yeah.
home. I was
See, that even makes
used
it
to come
worse.
home. I used
Yeah.
to come home beat up, and I
Yeah.
was not connecting with energy work yet. Had no
Yeah.
idea. I'm looking back now, how helpful it would have been to have known something
So
like
you're
this.
probably unwinding your hospital time. I can almost guarantee you that's what that was all about.
Mhm. And I have been very tired all week, so I do
Yeah.
sense I must be processing
Yeah.
yet.
Maybe take a couple extra little salt baths, and what kind of energy healing do you do?
Primarily Reiki and some stones.
In stonework?
Mhm.
Um, do you happen to have any lepidolite?
Yes.
Use some lepidolite to like clear the spine. Like lay it on the spine, by the spine,
Okay.
or however you can do it. But see if you can't use some lepidolite. Lepidolite's an amazing stone.
That sounds good. All right. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then let me just. We had a question in chat as well.
Mhm.
What's the difference between using the materialization breath versus the prosperity protocol in last weekend's class?
Prosperity Pro.
It was just the prosperity thing we did.
Oh, the materialization breath is materializing light. Really what you would do is eventually you'll be doing both. But the prosperity, the auric programming for prosperity is you're just cleaning up the aura, and you're setting the pattern for prosperity in the aura. The materialization breath would be very specific to the project, but how well you're able to materialize that or produce that would depend on the quality or the program in the aura. So you're kind of doing two pieces that address the same thing. So it's not an either or. It's chocolate and peanut butter, and you mix them together and you go from there. Yeah.
And who doesn't love chocolate and peanut butter? All right, I think we still have
Yeah,
time for
let's
practice.
do a little like I know we chatted for a lot, and if you need to go, but let's do a little practice. So let me just look something up here. So let's do B. Let's do the elements and the energy of thought. And we're just going to do number 2 and number 3. These two work really super well together. And it basically, the number 2 is addressing the elements or the elementals, and number 3 is the thought energy. And if you take thought energy and elements and you mix them, they produce a thought form. So this is basically breaking down thought forms from other people or thought forms that we've generated that then begin to manifest in the energy body. And so I did this one. I would only do it for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes every night, but like I did it consistently for a while, and I noticed that over a period of time, my mind wouldn't get stuck in those repetitive loops as much. And now that I'm older, I don't quite have that like I did when I was younger, but I still have a thing where, you got some project you got going during the day, and I would think about it and then keep coming back to it, keep coming back to it, keep coming back to it. And I'd let it go, and then it'd come back in about 20 minutes. And now I kind of process it, like make a decision, and it doesn't come back to me unless there's information that I've gained or I'm processing. Like if it's just resolved, it just stops, right? And so I like that for you. Like I like that for anybody. So you're going to pull out either angelica, keep chamomile, frankincense, myrrh, neroli, opopanox, which is a sweet myrrh. So pull that out. And begin inhaling with your awareness on the whole left side of your body. The face, the neck, the shoulder, the ribs, the hip, down the sides, the ankle. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Now the front side, face, throat, chest, abdomen, pelvis, down the front. The right side of your body. Down the whole right side. And then the back side of your body, down the whole back side. And then be still. Be still. Still that same oil. Let's do the left side of the body again. The right side of your body. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths on the right side of your body. This way.
Mhm.
And then the back side of the body. And then just pause, be still. Now we're going to pull out either acacia, ginger lily, and pepo, or thought energy. Begin inhaling with your awareness on the left side of your body, head to toe. In the front side of your body, your awareness is on the right side of the body. In the back side of the body. And just be still. Just be still. Again, same oil. Your awareness is on the left side of your body, head to toe. Right side of your body. In the back side of the body. Your awareness is on the back side of the body. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Just be still, be aware, just let go. So, notice how you feel your body, your emotions, your mind. Anybody want to share with what we just did in the process? If not, no big. But sometimes that's nice to share because we learn from each other.
Yeah, go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg. Nice to notice that you were going out into La La Land with the rest of us.
Oh, yes, I
Um,
was.
So can we do left, right, front, back, or does it need to go in order? Left,
Yeah,
front,
you
right,
can.
back.
You can. The going left, front, right, back is a little bit more fortifying to the energy body,
Okay.
but you could do them out of order. you
Okay.
know. Doing
All
it
right.
in reverse is actually releases. You never want to end with going in reverse because it will make the body keep releasing and it can
Okay.
be a little bit depleting. So like you can go left, right, front, back,
Mhm.
but if you're going to do a circle, always at least end doing left, front, right, back.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a process myself right before you jumped online to to the streams. Yeah, I got 1 foot somewhere else. Yeah. Okay, you guys. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this weekend with the Mechanics of Light, and a bunch of you are taking the class, the Mastery of Elements, here coming up on the weekend, and it will be a continuation of the Mechanics of Light. I'm taking it a little bit deeper into the elements, and yeah, it will be integrated into some of the things that we're doing. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us tonight and on the weekend, and love you guys, and we'll talk again soon. What's
Go
that?
ahead, Ebony.
Hey, Ebony.
Hey, I didn't know how to raise my hand. I was working on it. During the first round of breath, I felt like my body was rocking back and forth, but I didn't, not in the physical, just like
Right,
inwardly.
right. Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
experienced.
like yeah, that can mean a couple of things, like you know, but I mean, it's just a lot of times that movement is happening more than anything. Yeah. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Good.
I'm about to get ready to go to sleep.
Yeah,
So
good for you. Well, it was good seeing you last weekend.
it's good seeing y'all and spending time with y'all and everything. So
Yeah, yeah,
I look forward to the next round.
yeah. Anybody
Oh,
else?
anything good for a salt bath or an incense?
I mean, if you had astral projection, either one of those, it would be very deep. But maybe frankincense, myrrh, opopanox, or impapo, like, or even helichrysum. Any of those would be super fancy. For the incense, also, if you have like a cedar or camphor, like that would be good as well. Yeah. Okay, you guys.